Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Parker from Route for Me. If you're just joining us, we're going to be talking today about how to dynamically change your business here in this year. So let's increase efficiency. It looks like a few people are joining us. So we've got Scott in here already. Hey, what's up, Scott? Can you guys just, put in the chat window if you can actually hear me? Type yes or do a little raise hand feature. Yes, loud and clear. Okay, cool. Great, welcome. There's a few people trickling in here. That's very good. Yeah, it looks like we've got Gary, we've got Alan, we've got Justin, we've got Nick. Hey, what's up, everybody? We've got Clarissa. All right, cool. Right, Lisa, John. Okay, cool. Some people are trickling in here. All right, they're going to trickle in. This will be recorded, so if you'd like to look at it later or send this on, to someone in your company, you can absolutely do that. So, just ping us for the link. We're happy to help. So, really, we're going to be talking about how to make your delivery team, just a huge success. Talk about some of the things that will be really useful to you. And we're going to go from there. So we're going to streamline operations and really kind of remove some of those wasteful activities from the mix. So if you guys have questions, just throw them in the chat box. I'm going to pull someone on the phone, some brave soul who volunteers or who I pick randomly. So be ready for that, and we'll go from there. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. So I'm at roughtforme.com. We log in. If you haven't started a trial yet, you can just click begin 7-day test trial. We do offer a free trial. So all users will log into the system with an email address and password. So for example, of course, I've got a lot of different logins as I show different things, but I'm going to go ahead and log in here and just show you around. So, and again, if you have questions, let me know. We try really hard to make a really super user-friendly interface so you don't have to spend a lot of time learning things. But that's kind of like the first point. Employees can be easily trained. They can learn the system very quickly. We also, of course, include training, onboarding, support. We're actually here. We're USA based, so and we're expanding support as well. So let's go ahead and just show you how to create your team. So, first things first, you're using the system. You click over here on the little team tab, click on users, and you can see I've already got users in my account. I'm the account owner, and you can see I've got an administrator who has a few drivers under them and a manager, so that administrator can see all of these users. But let's say, hey, this regional manager, we either need to, put this driver. So we want this manager to actually see driver 2. So let's go ahead and put them. Now this manager can actually see driver 2, can see the routes they have, assign them routes, anything like that. Let's say we've got a new user. Let's go ahead and add a sub-user for this manager. We can just, type in their first name, type in their last name, email address, give them a password, give them a user type, if they're a driver, for example, and then make sure we set up the user role and access options correctly. Now, this is a really nice thing, especially which makes training drivers really easy. So we have a lot of customers that come to us and say, look, my drivers, they don't quite, maybe they're not, very good with technology, whatever it is. We can make it really simple, and our app is really simple. For example, we can hide non-future routes or hide past routes is what that means. So we can click yes. So they'll never see any routes that were assigned to them in the past. So they can pull up our mobile app and they will only see today's routes. For example, if you show them, hey, I only want to show them 1 day in the future. If you say, hey, I want to show them, 10 days in the future, if you plan 10 routes for them in the future, they'll see those 10 routes in the future. So you can kind of make it a very simple process to train drivers. So that's kind of adding a user, and you've kind of saw how you can manage the user system, so you can actually put drivers under different people, different user types, so you can structure this in a hierarchical way to make sure. And you as the account owner get to see everything. Administrators get to see everything. They can do just about everything, almost about everything, except for billing information. Only the account owner can do that. So yeah, just add users in the system. Very, very straightforward. And you can kind of create, specific teams and areas of operations, from sales to operations to delivery, whatever it is. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So you can kind of see a few different things. So let's go ahead and show what that looks like. So let's go over to an actual route. So let's go to our routes. We'll go to our routes list, and you'll see I've got a lot of routes listed here, so I can kind of say, hey, I need to go look for that particular route. So I happen to be able to search it, so you can search any of your routes. You might search by day, however you want to label them. I happen to have, just a sample tracking route here, so you can see it. Search for that, grabbed it real quick. Let's go ahead and grab the tracking route. That's really useful if you want to go back and, a lot of our customers name the routes on the date it was executed. So you can say, hey, I want to go look back at last week's route, and you just type in the date there and quickly pull it up. So you can see here's a route. The green is the actual planned route. That's what Route For Me did. So it said, hey, start here. We're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of in this circle here all around. This is the optimized route. And then we're ending back up at our starting point. So the green is the planned route. And if you want to see the actual drivers, see what they've been doing, you can just turn on tracking. So we can see users live on a map. So we can, you can see immediately they start pinging away. We've got the little truck icon that pings away. And then we can also see the actual route itself. So in this case, you might want to put all time to see what this driver actually did. You can see that the blue route comes up, a little breadcrumb trail here. And so it just connects the dots of the breadcrumb trail and puts them together so you can actually see the driver and what they did. So that's the historical breadcrumbs and shows you exactly what the driver was doing. So, you can also, make sure to have a conversation. You can see that the driver went off a little bit here, went off route. That may have been for a good reason. Maybe there was traffic, and because they were using our mobile app, they clicked, send to navigation, and on the planned route, when it was planned, it looked perfect, but, in real life, we can't predict what happens in the future. So, the driver using our mobile app says send navigation and actually sends them around some traffic that could have happened right there. So it gives a really good opportunity to see and make sure that your drivers are actually following the routes in the right sequence, seeing if they're going way off route or if, just maybe there's a little traffic that day and they used our app, to efficiently get to the next point, saving them a lot of time. So, okay, so it looks like, looks like there's a question in the chat there from Jim. Hey, what's up, Jim? Talking about, okay, question says, I've got places that I don't want my drivers to go. Is there a way to prevent them from going there? Yes. So basically what we can do is create an avoidance zone. So for example, when we're actually planning the route, maybe we should just jump in and plan it out and actually show you that. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in and show that. So let's go ahead and click routes, plan new route. Actually, we don't have to plan a route. I can show you that in a second. You can create avoidance zones, and when you're planning routes, you can choose which avoidance zones to put. So if I go over to my settings here, I'm just going to create an avoidance zone. And I can just draw on the map to say, hey, I want to avoid this area. So for example, I've got a few already selected here. I can turn one on. Let's go ahead and turn the tunnel on. So this is in the New York City area. This is the Holland Tunnel. We can say, hey, I definitely don't want to go in the Holland Tunnel. Please avoid that area. There's all kinds of different things you can do. So you can say, hey, avoid this particular area. So when you're planning the routes, as you'll see in just a second, we'll actually be able to avoid those areas as much as possible. If there's a point in that area, obviously we're going to have to route you through that and into that avoidance zone. But yeah, that's one way to accomplish it. So if I click plan new route, I can just very quickly name the route. I can schedule it, but you can see here is a chance to put in the avoidance zones, and I can say, hey, avoid that tunnel. We don't want to go that way. So, all right, good question. Did that help? Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Okay. All right. So probably what we want to show you is comparing the routes. So this is really, really helpful. So you can actually go into Route For Me and see what you're doing now. So for example, I'll just go to my routes list. You can actually compare routes. So you can actually forecast. You can use a lot of different ways. You can see, what your routes look like now versus what an optimized route looks like. So if I've got these two samples here, unoptimized route and then optimized route. So Pretty simple, all you have to do is just go ahead and click File and compare selected routes. So you can compare, what drivers did, what different drivers did. If they have the same route, maybe a different driver did something different. But yeah, basically, we're going to go ahead and compare it. You see all of the information here. Uh, you know, we can see the totals, anything like that, so we can actually see what happened on the route, the different time impacts, anything like that. So all of that information is there. Very easy to compare the routes and make a very good judgment call to say, hey, this is so much better than what I have now. So let's go ahead and just head over to our address book, and let's just maybe plan a real quick route. And I think that will help kind of show some of the different things you can do to be really, really efficient. Um, any questions? I think I want to bring someone on. Looks like there's someone. If you can raise your hand, if you don't mind, just if you don't mind coming on and showing your voice. Looks like Steven. Steven, can you jump on? Can you hear me, or can you enable your microphone? I should have just enabled it here. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, what's up, Steven? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. What kind of questions do you have, or any constraints or things like, do you have that your drivers really need to do, or things that we can help with?
Yeah, we're experiencing some delays. Some of our drivers are not actually delivering their packages, and we're hoping to see if Route for Me has a solution to make sure we're not wasting time there.
Yeah, sure. So let's just plan a route real quick and show you what we can do. I'm just picking random addresses from the address book. Maybe not 800 in this particular one. Let's pick 25 addresses and let's go ahead and create a route. So I just selected 25 from my address book, plan the route. We're just going to call this sample route. We can choose a departure point, we can type it in, or we can select one of the actual stores. Let's just say we're going to start at store one, which was in my address book. Of course, we can schedule the start date, start time, the service time. So, for example, do your drivers, for example, do they spend on average 15 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour at each stop, Stephen?
About 15 minutes.
About 15 minutes? Okay, so we can put that in and we can kind of expect that now. So the system will plan for that. So every single stop will now have 15 minutes. If you have individual service times, we can handle that too, so not a problem. Let's go ahead and make sure we have drive time optimization. That's actual driving times to calculate the optimization. Stephen, do you have things like time windows, like you have to be at a certain location at a certain time?
Yep, definitely. We do have some time windows.
Great. So we can handle that too. And the system's going to route you appropriately. So it's going to optimize and make sure you're at, the locations that do have time windows, you're going to be there at the right time. So that's usually a really big pain to actually try and plan that manually, or a lot of softwares can't do that. So,
Okay,
um,
so I could do like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could do 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You could do 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if you have to be, or if you have multiple time windows, for example, you can say, hey, we can only deliver to this customer, or we can only go to this customer between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. So you can have multiple time windows on a particular location. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Cool. Yeah, so you can basically set that up. Of course, you can do other things if you need advanced restrictions. Multiple drivers route is usually what I recommend. So you can actually put in here, even if you're planning just a single route, you can feed the data in to the system, and you can say, hey, I don't want my routes to be longer than 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever you want to put in there. And the system will come back to you and say, okay, given all the data you gave me, I calculated all the drive times, I've got all the expected service times, I've got all of the information, from advanced constraints even. Given all that data, this is how many routes you'll need to accomplish it. So it may only give you one route if you just need one route. If you thought, hey, normally I do this with 10 drivers, you might actually be able to do it with 8. So you can actually forecast and model and say, hey, we only need 8 guys this Friday for what we're doing. So you can actually save a ton of labor and a ton of money. That's a big savings, and it's going to include the time windows too. So, does that make sense, Stephen?
Yep.
Yeah, and I showed earlier the avoidance zones. You know, you can turn on your avoidance zones here. Hey, avoid the tunnel. You can actually put on turn restrictions, so you can, permit or not permit left turns or right turns or U-turns. So that's very, very handy. So, yeah, let's just create this route. Let's see what it does. It's only 25 little stops. Even though it's 25 stops, I do tell people, 8 stops. Just a lot of people think they can optimize a route with even just 8 stops. The truth is, there's over 5,000 possible variations of a route with only 8 stops on it. So that's a lot. So most people
That is a
can't
lot.
even
Wow.
optimize. Yeah, just a simple little route with 8 stops. You can tell me, I'll bet you $1,000 every time that you can't get the most optimized version just doing it by pinpoints on a map. I guarantee you will not have the right solution, or I'll have it much quicker. So when you start adding things like time windows, constraints, advanced constraints, more stops, it turns into almost an infinite amount. So in this case, you can kind of see we started way down here, and we've got a few different points here. So probably not the best one, but we can actually jump into one of these routes. Let's go ahead and jump into simple route part 2. Let's go ahead and open this route. And again, you'll have the tracking data, but one thing that's really nice is if we go log in here a little bit, you'll actually be able to see if the drivers are using our mobile app. Let me zoom in on this location here. This first location, we've actually got a geofence. So you can see this is kind of going to what looks like so maybe a museum of some sort. I'm not sure. Some sort of it looks like some sort of a strip mall. So we've got a strip mall of some sort, and we've got to go to this location. But basically, you can see that it's kind of saying, hey, this is not exactly the way we want to go, or maybe this was a actual physical address. We could see, hey, we need to change this around. So I want to actually go right over here because it was in a strip mall. I'm going to go ahead and add this address at the optimal position, or add this exact location at the optimal position. So let's do that. Let's add that. We might want to change that in our address book because it didn't quite work out correctly. So we can do that very easy. Let's cancel it, confirm it, and everything updates in real time. So we're doing perfect here. Now you'll also notice there's a geofence. So a geofence is really nothing but an imaginary bubble. So this green circle, as soon as the driver enters this location, uh, with the mobile device, it's going to detect that he's there and assign a geolocated timestamp, and will detect when he departs as well. So that's kind of a nice feature to actually have to really ensure that your drivers are going to the right places. So, sometimes you'll find little intricacies like you just saw, where it says, hey, that's not exactly the right location. You can very quickly change it for your drivers, make sure that everything's set up, very quickly review everything and make changes as needed. So you're going to be able to route very quickly and make sure that your drivers really know where they're going instead of just, kind of praying or, giving them a printout, anything like that. So, okay. Stephen, any questions or anything else? Does that help?
Yep, that definitely helps. Now, what would they do if they did miss a stop, or if the person wasn't available?
So there's an ability to actually in the mobile device to so when you bring up the mobile, let me just bring that up real quick. Uh, well, let's see. This doesn't seem to be working for me right now, so I can't bring up mobile on screen. I can probably find it. Let me just see if I can go to our support portal. Really great resource here if you ever have a question. That's a good question. So let's go ahead and add a note. Let's just see if adding notes to a stop. Here's an Android guide. So on the mobile, you can actually just click add a note, and you can select a note status, like, you can have it leave it unclassified, or you can say no one was around. You can type it in. You can take a picture. You can even get a signature. You can take a video, and then you can basically upload that note. So you can see the different types available, incorrect address or something like that. So the driver can actually report back, get all of that information, and that information will then show up on the route itself. So you'll have all that information there. If the driver doesn't go to a location and there's no note or anything like that, one thing that's nice is you might just want to send them a quick message like, hey, what happened at stop number one? Number one. And this is basically like sending a text message, so the driver will actually get a little notification in on his mobile app, inside Route for Me, and he now knows like, hey, I either didn't add a note, or I need to add a note, or hey, I'm actually being monitored here. They actually know what I'm doing. They know that I missed that stop. I probably need to go back to that stop, loop back around, and be better, and because we've got a watchful eye on what people are
Yeah,
doing.
not
So
give up so easily.
yeah, exactly. So you've got really a lot of clarity and a lot of ways to actually see. And again, it's pretty easy for the drivers to add a note, to say, hey, I couldn't make it to that for some reason, whatever it is. So they don't need to call in while they're on their route, whatever it is. They can just add a note, and you can set some policies and procedures in place to let them continue on to do their job. And then, you in the office can either call the customer, say, hey, we tried to deliver to you, or we tried to service you, but there was an issue. Maybe it's a gate code was wrong or something like that, or maybe the gate was closed, whatever. So you've got a lot of clarity into what's going on now. Okay, I think with that, Stephen, do you have any more questions, or do you think this will be helpful?
Yep, I definitely think this will be helpful. You seem to answer my questions. We're really just looking to make 2017 a really great year.
Great, great. All right, let's make 2017 great again. All right, so let's go ahead and end there. And thanks everyone for being on. We'll have a recording of this. And if you haven't started a free trial at routeforme.com yet, go ahead and start that now. Have a great day, everyone.